Greetings and welcome to this edition of
Positronic.
I'm Barry P. Cook. Let's talk about the latest episode of Star Trek Lower Decks. I want to say that this show is really growing on me. It had grown on me somewhat by the end of season one, but this season, which we may still be seeing season one episodes actually, even this far into season two, because they apparently didn't finish season one. I don't know. Anyway, it's really growing on me. And part of it is because they sort of have changed what they were doing. And I've said this before, so it's going to sound repetitive, but in the beginning, they really seemed to be going out of their way to depict these people as very unprofessional. And, for example, there's a scene in one of the early episodes of season one where Boimler is sitting in a chair naked, speechifying to himself about the ideals of Starfleet and stuff, or whatever. And Mariner catches him, and he's embarrassed that he's naked, and she's freaked out. And it's first of all, he wouldn't do that, right? Because it's not professional. And especially in a room that I guess anyone could walk into, because on Star Trek in private quarters, you have to let people in. So I don't know what that was, but beyond that, they don't freak out about nudity in the 24th century, as evidenced by an episode of this season where they're all showering together naked in a unisex sonic shower room. So some of the stuff that they were doing the first season that just didn't fit, they've stopped doing. So it's just a much better show now. I still find some of the things that these characters do to be out of character for, officers in an organization with a chain of command, but it doesn't seem as egregious, especially because they don't do it as much with the senior crew as they were doing in the first season. Anyway, this episode, like I said, was called Magatu Gumato, and if I didn't say that, now I've said it. The episode starts with an Ambo Jitsu match on the Cerritos, which is a callback to Next Gen because Riker and his dad would play Ambo Jitsu in their past, and they play it on the show in an episode when the father visits the Enterprise, so that was cool. But what was funny is that Boimler and Rutherford get their butts kicked by Mariner. The next thing we see is a pair of Denoblian archaeologists, and Denoblians, of course, are the race of Dr. Phlox from Enterprise. They are attacked by a Mugatu, and the ship gets sent to deal with it. Meanwhile, the bartender in the lounge on the Cerritos, who is somehow an old sea captain guy, talks like an old ancient mariner type person. I don't know, but he tells the boys that Mariner is a secret black ops agent, but they don't buy it. And they mention Tuvok in this conversation because obviously Tuvok went undercover with the Maquis, whatever. They then decide, though, that they're going to look at her record, and they find it suspicious. When the ship arrives at the planet where the Mugatu attack occurred, they're about to beam down, and Shax mentions that Mugatu genitalia are phaser sensitive. And then once they get down there, he's walking around, and he sniffs and tastes some Mugatu dung, which was fresh and tangy, according to him. So that stuff was funny. They keep mispronouncing Mugatu, even though there are multiple correct pronunciations, they still manage to mispronounce it. This apparently has some connection to actual Star Trek production from the original series days when I guess DeForest Kelley couldn't say the word right. It was supposed to be Gumato, and he said Mugato. And so there are different pronunciations that are acceptable now. I don't know. Between him and Shatner and everybody else, they couldn't pronounce it the same, something like that. So that's what this is all a reference to. But anyway, the away team finds that there are Ferengi on the planet who are illegally trading in Mugatu and Mugatu parts, horns, skin, stuff like that. And one of the Mugatu that they have caged accidentally gets released and goes on a rampage, at which point Mariner goes all feral and she starts hacking at Shax with a knife while the boys flee toward the Mugatu that are running around in fear of her. They actually end up running into some Mugatu who decide to, who obviously feel a special connection to each other and decide to engage in
Coitus.
to the bewilderment of a third Mugatu who happens on the scene. While the boys are trapped in the log hiding that the Mugatu are leaning against while they're engaging in
Coitus.
A little while later, the boys and Mariner talk it out when she explains that she was only stabbing Shax because she needed to suck out some poison after he was wounded or attacked by the Mugatu that escaped, and that she started the rumors about herself being a Black Ops agent because she wanted people to sort of think she had a rep. I don't know. She then gets trapped in a hunting trap that latches onto her foot, and the boys have to take down the Ferengi operation on their own when she gets taken away. Tendi, by the way, spends the whole episode scanning different crew members who had skipped their physicals, only to wind up chasing the cat doctor lady, who is the last person on the list who had also declined to have her own physical. I don't know why. Anyway, back on the planet, Mariner is talking to Rutherford, and he mentions the last Outpost episode, and he mentions Quark when he tells the Ferengi that they don't need to actually make any money because replicators exist. Then together, he and Rutherford show the Ferengi how to make even more money, since they're hell-bent on it, by legally trading in abandoned Mugatu by operating a preserve. And they do this by using their skills that they honed while playing a diplomacy deal-making based game. And the Ferengi go for it, which delights Mariner on their behalf. After everything was all wrapped up, Mariner starts spinning a yarn to the bartender about the boys so that they'll have a rep going forward. She wants them to have a rep because I guess she feels like it comes in handy in her life, so they'll benefit from it. But again, this was a pretty good episode. I thought it was more Star Trek than other episodes have been. It has, the comedy elements, and it's funny, but it's still Star Trek, and they didn't do anything outrageous with, the characters in terms of their professionalism, and nobody did anything that was way outside the parameters of what you would expect to see from Starfleet officers. So it was good. I enjoyed it, and there was funny stuff in it. But like I said, it's been growing on me, so there you go. I'll be back with a review of the next episode. Until then, I'm out of here. Peace and
Coitus.